Hello everyone, welcome to my gardening channel. Today we are going to talk about Rosa rugosa, Rosa chinensis and Rosa multiflora. Explore the differences and similarities between them. Rosa is a large family of closely related plants under the Rosaceae family. There are nearly 200 wild species in the world, widely distributed in the northern temperate zone. The East and the West have their own unique species of Rosaceae, but there are some obvious differences between the East and the West in how to name these plants, in the daily life of Westerners. They tend to simplify and call these plants Rosa. This is the Latin etymology, rose in English, but in scientific research. They are very cautious and use very rigorous Latin names to distinguish different species. In Chinese, however, these plants are generally not collectively referred to as such plants, but are referred to by different names, such as Rosa multiflora, thorn rose, Rosa rugosa, Rosa chinensis, Rosa banksiae, Rosa rubus, etc. Among them, Rosa multiflora, Rosa rugosa, and Rosa chinensis are the most common. In a sense, it may be more difficult to accurately distinguish between Rosa rugosa, Rosa chinensis and Rosa multiflora in English-speaking countries than in Chinese-speaking countries. Rosa rugosa. In the ancient European wilderness, there is a kind of thorny bush with branches covered with thorns, but it blooms beautiful and bright flowers. Because the thorns are as wild as dog teeth, people call it dog rose, which is the ancestor of the Western Rosa rugosa. Later, this wild rose was transplanted into the yard, which can be used to protect the yard and enjoy the flowers. After hybridization and reproduction with various wild roses, it became the traditional Rosa rugosa in the West. China's Rosa rugosa is also known as the authentic Rosa rugosa in botany. It is also a shrub covered with sharp thorns, with deep veins on the leaves and full of wrinkled hairs. The flowers are bright red and flat in shape. At first they were small flowers with single petals. Later, they were cultivated in horticulture and became double-petal large-flowered varieties. This Rosa rugosa, which originated in China, is gorgeous and pleasant, with a strong fragrance. It has been used for food since the Northern Song dynasty, but its flowering period is very short, and its ornamental value is not as high as Rosa chinensis. This kind of authentic Rosa rugosa mainly includes Pingian Rosa rugosa, Miaofengshan Rosa rugosa, etc. Rosa chinensis. Rosa chinensis originates from subtropical forests in Guizhou, Hubei, Sichuan and other places in southwest China. Its specific origin is no longer traceable. Flowers bloom and fall without interruption, spring comes and goes without relevance. From the ancients' evaluation of Rosa chinensis, it is not difficult to see that she is simply the Oriental invincible in the flower world, with super strong reflowering. Rosa chinensis is a variety with few thorns and colorful flowers, and large and flat leaves. So, when Sir Hume of Britain came to China in 1806, in a cold late autumn, he saw several rose-like branches blooming with flowers, and his excitement can be imagined. Then, he brought China's Rosa chinensis to Europe, which is the legendary four Old Chinese varieties: Slater's Crimson China, Old Blush, Hume's Blush Tea-Scented China and Park's Yellow Tea-Scented China. Slater's Crimson China and Old Blush have continuous flowering, slender and light branches and leaves, and the flowers deepen over time instead of fading. These characteristics fascinate breeders. Hume's Blush Tea-Scented China and Park's Yellow Tea-Scented China introduced high heart flower shape and tea fragrance that European breeders had never heard of. And they also have the characteristics of continuous flowering. Park's Yellow Tea-Scented China also introduced the light yellow color system into the European Rosa multiflora. After hybridization with Chinese roses, the Western, traditional Rosa rugosa began to have the hard-working gene of long-term flowering and more diverse colors, which became the rose in the modern sense, officially called modern rose. After the 4 old Chinese species flowed into Europe, they were used in a series of hybridizations, which can be basically divided into 2 schools. School 1. The hybridization between Old Blush, Slater's Crimson China and European roses, such as Damascus rose, French rose, centifolia, white rose, gave birth to hybrid Chinese roses, Bourbon roses and Portland roses, and finally produced hybrid perpetual roses. School 2. Old Blush, Slater's Crimson China and Tea-scented China, musk roses were hybridized to give birth to tea roses and noisette roses, and later the 2 branches merged into tea noisette roses. At the same time, hybridization in China is also going on, which is basically the hybridization between Old Blush, Slater's Crimson China and Tea-scented China. Therefore, the existing real old Chinese roses are very close in blood to some old European tea roses. Many new varieties were born from the hybridization between Tea-scented China and Old Blush and Slater's Crimson China. At that time, Europe admired the high-hearted and folded petals of perfume roses. These new varieties with such flower shapes were called tea, and those without them were only called China. This classification was entirely due to market demand, even though the parents of the 2 varieties may be the same. There are 3 famous varieties of Rosa chinensis. One is the butterfly rose, which has been highly valued by breeders in recent years for its color change, robustness, shade tolerance and rain tolerance. Yves Piaget is one of its descendants. The other 2 are Rosa chinensis v viridiflora and small rose. Rosa chinensis v viridiflora is ugly but has personality, so most enthusiasts will collect one. The small rose is about 30 centimeters tall and is one of the sources of the plant shape of modern miniature roses. Rosa multiflora. Regarding Rosa multiflora, in Chinese, it refers to plants of this type other than Rosa chinensis and Rosa rugosa, which are native to China, especially climbing species with clusters of small flowers and more small leaves. Nowadays, the botanical and horticultural circles in China usually use Rosa multiflora to refer to all plants of the genus Rosa. If you see a plant with the word Rosa, rose, in its English name and there is no conventional translation, it is translated as Rosa something. If a plant of the genus Rosa does not have a conventional Chinese name, it is also called Rosa something. Rosa rugosa, Rosa chinensis and Rosa multiflora are 3 sisters of different species of the genus Rosa in the Rosaceae family. They look similar and are easily confused. If you observe carefully, there are still big differences. 1. Different branches. Rosa chinensis branches are upright and slightly expanded, and there are often a small number of hooked prickles on the branches. Rosa rugosa is upright, with many thorns and bristles on the branches. Rosa multiflora has slender stems, and branches are creeping or climbing with many thorns. 2. Different leaves. Rosa rugosa has 5 to 9 leaflets, thick texture, sunken veins, many wrinkles on the leaf surface, and a layer of white frost-like soft hairs on the back of the leaf. Rosa chinensis has fewer leaflets, generally 3 to 5, and the leaf surface is relatively flat, not sunken, and wrinkled. Rosa multiflora has more leaflets, generally 7 to 9, with toothed edges and soft hairs on both sides of the leaf. 3. Different flowers. Rosa chinensis usually has single flowers at the top, but also has several flowers in clusters. The flowers are large, with a diameter of more than 6 centimeters. It blooms 4 to 6 times a year, with rich colors and mostly double petals. Rosa rugosa flowers are solitary or clustered, and only bloom once a year from May to August. The fragrance is stronger than that of Rosa chinensis and Rosa multiflora. The pedicel is short, the flower diameter is about 3 centimeters, and the flowers are mostly purple-red. There are 2 types of single petals and double petals. Rosa multiflora flowers are often clustered with 6 to 7 flowers in a conical corymb, growing at the end of the branches. The size of the flowers is the same as that of Rosa rugosa. The shape and color of the flowers vary depending on the variety, and there are red, pink, yellow, white and other colors. It blooms once a year in summer. I have summarized the differences between Rosa rugosa, Rosa chinensis and Rosa multiflora in this table for easy comparison and reference. Although Rosa rugosa, Rosa chinensis and Rosa multiflora have many differences in details and uses, they have many similarities in family, flower and leaf morphology, growth habits, horticultural value, resistance and adaptability, and reproduction methods. Their maintenance methods are also very similar. They all like an environment with plenty of sunlight, air circulation, and well-drained soil. In spring and autumn, water thoroughly once a day to keep the soil moist. In summer, pay attention to avoid high temperatures and drought, and water in time. In winter, pay attention to cold protection and reduce the frequency of watering. During the flowering period, fertilize regularly. Apply compound fertilizer or organic fertilizer every 10 to 15 days. And pay attention to controlling the amount of nitrogen fertilizer. After flowering, cut off the remaining flowers and dead branches in time to promote the growth of new branches and buds. Well, this video ends here. Welcome to subscribe, like, comment and forward. See you next time.